Hey guys, welcome to the channel, and this time, a little bit different. Remember, GEM stands for Games, Entertainment, and Movies. Yeah, weird mix there, but let's do a little bit of entertainment, let's do a little bit of martial arts. I know I've been talking about Star Citizen quite a bit lately, because, well, Citizen Con and everything going on there, but let's talk about one of the most exciting fights there is all year, UFC 308, Ilia Topuria versus Max Holloway. Not a UFC MMA fan? Okay, no problem. This is a fight you want to watch. If you want to see one fight, this is like watching the World Cup final, right? If you don't see anything, that's okay. But don't miss Argentina versus France. That was one of the things that you would just regret it if you just missed that chance. This is kind of the same thing. This is the fight most guys that know about the sport are really looking forward to, and I agree with that 100%. Now, I've seen all of the predictions, all of the analysis that there is, and I'm still surprised that there's three key things that I don't think I've seen any of them mentioned, certainly not to any extent where they were making a point about it. But first, let's go through the basics. Yes, Ilia Topuria is expected to beat Max Holloway based on bets, based on people putting money on who's going to win. Now, the predictions in terms of the fighters that you listen, a lot of them surprisingly will go with Max, but they will go with, yeah, but I have to go with Max because he's such a good guy. There's going to be a lot of that because of a country, right? Lots of Americans will most likely go with Max Holloway. And there's this affinity towards the guy because he's been doing this for so long and he's very much liked in the community. Now, a little bit surprised there that not enough people, MMA Guru brought it up. Max Holloway did eye poke Gaethje twice, the same round, one on each eye. So that's a little bit of a shitty thing to do. But hey, he has that good guy reputation. He goes with a blessed thing. That's all fine and good. Now, prediction here. These are always very difficult to make. Sometimes more than others, but in general, you always have to keep in mind that it's two guys trying to knock out one another. At any moment, any of these guys can land a solid hit and just put the other to sleep. Some guys will have a heavier hand than others. Some guys are a lot more likely than others. Max Holloway is kind of that on the intermediate level. He has the capacity of knocking out people. He mostly goes with volume, and we'll get into that in a second. He just throws a record amount of punches in each fight. He's not the most he's not the most martial artist, fine boxer kind of guy. No, he just goes with shit ton of punches thrown in the other guy's direction, and that can be quite effective. The cardio is there, the heart is definitely there. On the other hand, you have Ilia Topuria, who is maybe the next generation of fighters. He is complete everywhere. Let's talk a little bit about that too. But he is expected to win for a reason, because he's most likely gonna win. Why? He's the better boxer. This is the kind of guy that has been praised by Teddy Atlas. If you don't know who Teddy Atlas is, well, he's a legendary trainer in boxing that, if Teddy Atlas says he's the best he's seen in UFC and MMA, the best boxer he's seen, well, you listen to that. He's going to be making a point. Now, let's go through some of the things that I've seen many of these analysis go. So, in terms of how is it that this is going to go down, well, Ilia Topuria is the shorter guy. Max Holloway is the taller guy. Holloway struggles with shorter guys. Ilia Topuria has knocked the living lights out of taller guys and shorter guys as well. He is definitely a heavy-handed puncher. He has that thing, he has that shit that not everyone has, which is he can just turn the lights off like that with just one punch. One punch knockout power for real. Sometimes even some of these commentators will, oh yeah, he was just one. No, it was not a one-punch knockout. It was an accumulation of punches. Gaethje, Max Holloway knocking out Gaethje. That was not a one-punch knockout. That was a guy that was already beaten to a pulp, mostly because he had a broken nose, and the eye poke thing definitely hurt him. But he's Gaethje. He's a solid dude, but he's not exactly top level, right? He's not on that, and a combination of factors plus the work that Max Holloway clearly did there got him the win. And yes, in the last 10 seconds, you start swinging away against a blind guy and swinging away in a way that is not exactly very technical sound at all. Ilya Topuria said he saw a bar fight in those 10 seconds, and I agree with him. I think it's very entertaining, but it's not exactly quality boxing in any way. Again, at any moment, anyone can get knocked out, especially with these two guys. But I have 70% chance of Ilya Topuria winning. This means that 7 out of 10 fights, the way I see it, 7 out of 10 fights, Ilya wins. Could Max win? Yeah. These things happen in sports. It could happen at any moment. But I have my odds placed like so. Let's start with the wrestling aspect. A lot of people mention, oh, yes, Ilya is super complete here and there, but Max has great takedown defense. This is something I've heard from all of these guys. I've seen all of these Volkanovski. Let's get into his comments in a minute there. He has great defense. Okay. Great takedown defense does not mean you're in the same level of Ilya Topuria in wrestling. Ilya Topuria is an elite level wrestler, Greco-Roman wrestling. He is top of his food chain in terms of wrestling. Wrestling is the thing that he probably should have still been using, but he has just so good hands. And of course, there's the marketing aspect, which Ilya Topuria is very good at, which is it is a lot more entertaining to see people knock out than just see someone tap out. The knockout is what makes you a legend in this sport. The knockout is what guys like Dana White want. This is what fans want. Fans want to see people get knocked out. Ilya Topuria has one of the best knockout powers in the sport, so he's gonna be using it. But do not forget that he's an elite level grappler and wrestler, and he can just throw your ass there in the canvas and just finish you there. We'll talk about how he manages this too in a minute here when we get specifically to that point. But something that I see all of these guys say, oh yeah, he's very good, but Max, he has great defense. No, Max is nowhere even close. In fact, if Ilya Topuria will want to assure a win, which at any moment he may well be, if he has problems with landing that big shot, let's say it's second, third round, I would just use what I know I'm excellent at, and this guy has no clue. No matter how, he has good takedown defense, that does not put you in the level of wrestling that Ilya Topuria obviously has. Just watch his first fights. He would strangle people, bigger guys, long, lean guys, big. He would strangle people like a damn snake. It is impressive. What was that? A reverse anaconda that he had a guy with? He tries to put you in this crucifix position, just slam you in your face. It is overwhelmingly better in that aspect than Max Holloway, in spite of his great takedown defense. That works for someone that is going for it and kind of has some skill there, but not someone that is excellent at it. Another thing that I think MMA Guru brought up, which is the damage, the scar tissue in both of these hands. MMA Guru was asking about Ilya Topuria. He has been cut, a little bit hurt, and then especially in the nose. He tends to tear up in the nose a little bit. Really doesn't stop him much. The rest is quite good. Not the case of Max Holloway. Max Holloway is a guy that he's not all that old. Like 33, is he? Well, Ilya Topuria is definitely younger, but Ilya Topuria also has a lot of less miles. This is like when you buy a car. Oh, it's just 4 years old, but it has 500,000 miles. Yeah, that sucks. Max Holloway has a lot of miles on that chassis. He's been beating the shit out. He has a lot of scar tissue, which will open up as soon as Ilya starts touching that with his jab alone. Not a power shot, just a jab. He's going to cut up and he's going to start bleeding. Very much so like our buddy here, Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett got beat. Josh Emmett would have been better off just getting knocked out in the first round, honestly. The amount of damage this guy took, it was... With each punch, blood was splattering all over the place. Ilya Topuria ended up the fight covered in the other guy's blood. It was freaking brutal, but hey, it is a blood sport at the end of the day. So the blood aspect is something that you definitely have to take into account. MMA Guru did bring it up. Finally, I was wondering, why is it that no one mentions the amount of scar tissue that this guy has and how likely he is to open up? Then there is he lost round 1 to Volkanovski. Volkanovski, legend in the sport, maybe the most dominant champion the division has ever seen. There will be people that make that argument, and you just cannot. You see what I mean? He usually gets a little bit of bleeding and bruising, but it is not the kind of thing that stops him. But a lot of people, he was losing to Volk round 1. He was not losing to Volk in round 1. He was measuring Volk for all of round 1. He was just timing the shit out of him, seeing how he moved, seeing how he threw his punches, and timing him again and again. And what Mighty Mouse says in his channel, Demetrius Johnson, he was closing the void, right? He was closing the void. He was closing that distance up until the moment in which, and if you see that fight, and I saw it several times, there was a time in which Volk actually hits him he actually hits him several times with a nice, because Volk is very quick, and he was out of a knockout, but still in very good shape and very motivated, and this is something that I think Lucas here says he was one of the best versions of Volk that he has ever seen. And I would agree with him. He was like motivated into getting back there after getting knocked out. You could argue that, he should have taken more time. Well, there's been people that came back a lot sooner and did a lot better. And he definitely looked that way. The thing is, he just was not good enough. Is it because of the skill? I think Ilia Topuria has more skill. Even in their prime, he has more skill. Then there's age factor. There is a stat there that by the age that Volk was when he lost, no champion ever managed to retain, or something similar to those lines. Very, very difficult. It is, Mother Nature is not kind to us. When you grow older, you're not going to be the same guy. So, no, he was not. Volk was killing him. No, you could have given the round to Volk. Okay. That's something that Ilia Topuria was more than okay with, because he was just doing his thing of timing him, see how he moves, and then just finish him like he said he would, and like he eventually ended up doing in brutal fashion in round 2, right? It was not, it was just complete domination. No, it was not that. And here in Alexander Volkanovski's channel, he makes the case how Max Holloway's, he has Max as a favorite. Okay, I get it. You got your lights put out by the guy, and you want your belt back, and obviously you want to go against the guy you already beat 3 times, so it is understandable, even though not objectively very sound. But hey, the other thing I see a lot of people bring up, which is, I don't know where they're getting this, is, Max gas tank is so enormous, and Ilia Topuria is likely to gas out. Have you ever seen Ilia Topuria gas out ever? I don't know, it's as if people have only seen that just a couple last fights. And even those don't show any sign of gassing out or even breathing heavily. The guy is in amazing shape. He is really superior in all aspects. The only thing you could go against him is, but Max, he just throws a lot more punches. Well, that's the thing. Ilia Topuria doesn't need to throw more punches because he throws them better. He's a lot more of he's far more efficient. He's better as a boxer, and thus he's more efficient. He does not waste a damn thing. This is something that Teddy Atlas has said. It is like you give Ilia Topuria $50 and he comes back with a pickup full of groceries. Why? Because he just finds ways of making shit out of nothing. In terms of, if he's throwing this punch, he's achieving this much. It's always like this with him. He's super smart. His IQ is really top level. And it shows by not wasting energy at all. What makes you think that he's going to waste energy with a guy like Max Holloway? Max Holloway can throw punches all day long. They need to do something, right? And that's a lot easier said than done when going against a guy that has his hands like this all day long. And when he throws a punch, he goes like this. He covers and he shoulder rolls. He does it, what's in UFC you would know it as the Philly shell, right? Like you have from Floyd Mayweather. He does that sort of thing with tiny gloves, which is a lot more difficult than with the bigger gloves. This tiny glove doesn't protect you nearly as much as a bigger one, which you can just go like, closing up like that, and it's a giant pillow protecting you on both sides. No, he has to do, sometimes he does this, sometimes he does this, sometimes when he defends kicks, he uses a cross, like with both hands, so as to reduce the impact even more. He's just very good in all of these things. And that's something that Max, with all of the heart and all of the volume and all of the blessed, just simply doesn't have. So the idea of him gassing out, no, there's nothing here. He has excellent cardio. He's obviously working out like a lunatic. He has fantastic conditioning, and you've never seen him gas out. You see him go against Josh Emmett for 5 rounds. He was just fine. He was impressively fine by the last round. He was so fine that he could just throw the guy on the floor at will to end the fight and not even risk a heavy puncher like Josh Emmett, which Max Holloway is not. He hasn't got the knockout power that Josh Emmett has, which just can put you out instantly. That is not something you see. And the other thing let's start with the things that are not mentioned by anyone apparently, how freaking durable the guy is. He got head kicked like few people ever did and stayed awake, and he still managed to scramble back, grapple, and knock out the guy in the following round with Jai Herbert. It's impressive how not enough people mention how durable he is. He ate Volk's punches, knowing that he could take them, knowing that he was no Josh Emmett, that he could just land you and sleep you in one punch, right? He just ate a few of those and just went for the knockout. That he could have made a more messy fight, throwing more wrestling in there, but he just wanted that knockout. That's the first thing that surprises me, people not mentioning enough, how freaking durable the guy is. He gets punched, and he just keeps... Another thing that's not mentioned enough, how powerful he is when he's leg kicking. Every time he legs kicks, and it happened with Volkanovski. Volkanovski threw like 4 or 5 kicks, and Topuria was just eating them. Topuria threw 1 kick, and he made Volkanovski spin around, giving the power in that thing. The second thing that I see not enough people talk about nearly enough is, and this is, no one seems to remember this or even know this, is how patient he is. This is something that you see a lot in boxing, the virtue of being patient, just waiting for your moment. He literally told Volkanovski this, wait until it's my turn, now you will see, in round 1. When Volkanovski was happy about landing a few punches. It will be my turn. He is extremely patient, which is rare in a guy that is still very much young for the sport. So he's extremely, maybe one of his biggest assets is how patient the guy is. Not losing your shit. I'm not going to start trying to out-punch Holloway here. I'm not going to look to throw more punches than him. Why would I? I'm just better at it. I can just protect myself a lot better. I can be a lot more efficient with each punch I throw. Why would I even do that? There's no point, and that's why he will not gas out. One of the few things you're pretty much almost certain as you can be with anything in this sport is either Topuria is not the guy that gasses out because he manages his gas tank, which is already enormous, in a super efficient way. The other thing that you don't see people... So we got how durable he is, we got how patient he is, and the final thing that no one seems to apparently know is he adapts to every fighter. Every fighter he fights tailor-made for that guy. He's a chameleon of this sport. And the perfect example of that is, well, you see that a lot when he fought Josh Emmett, but I think that the most impressive thing he has done in that aspect is fighting this dude that is in the floor. Why? Because that guy is Ryan Hall. Ryan Hall is, he was like 30, he was like 40 years old, but he was undefeated. You know why he was undefeated? Because no one wanted to fight the guy. Why? Because he basically didn't fight. He just spammed Imanari rolls all day long. He was just going constantly for a heel hook, and when he caught you, he is so good at it, maybe the best you've ever seen. He's so good at one thing that he just beats you with that. It is boring, it's not exciting, and actually most MMA and UFC fans hated the guy for it, but no one wanted to fight him. Why? Because it was a high-risk, low-reward fight. That's why he was undefeated until he fought this dude, until he fought Ilia Topuria. Undefeated as a UFC fighter. The meme was that, when you're just too good for your own good, no one wants to fight you, and mostly it's because people consider it boring. But he was just doing this. He was rolling on the floor all day long, and that is extremely dangerous for someone that is not an expert in this. Ilya Topuria, as I was just, he's an expert grappler, an expert wrestler, but again, the thing that I mentioned, he's extremely patient. So when the guy was doing this, instead of losing his cool, he just waited and waited. And when he got grabbed, and this is not okay because grabbing the glove is not something that you're allowed to do, but when he got a foot in there, he's so good at grappling, wrestling as well, and jiu-jitsu, black belt in jiu-jitsu, but not just any black, but seriously good at it too. He defended Ryan Hall. And the moment in which Ryan Hall screwed up just a little bit, he lost his first UFC fight by getting brutally knocked out by good old Ilya Topuria here. So he adapts in ways you would not believe. When he fights a heavy-handed fighter like Josh Emmett, yeah, he's been beaten before, but it usually involves a lot of brutal punching. Again, how durable he is because he ate several Josh Emmett punches. But the way he was fighting, he was just going in, going out, going in all the time. Always his hand, the guard is one of the best you will see. Many MMA fighters start doing bullshit. No, he just stays like this. It is always like, and that is one of the basic things from boxing ever. But people all the time forget about it, and they start dropping hands or dropping the hand when you throw the other. No, he just stays here, and he goes a lot of this, except when he goes with the overhand right, where he opens up a little bit more. But, yeah, and when that thing is coming, you want to be out of the way, even when throwing that hook. So he's defending himself here, and he has his shoulder up here. It is super difficult to land a good shot on the guy. A guy like Volkanovski, given how good he is and how fast he is, he landed a few. Nothing that changed the outcome of the fight. But my point here is, when he fights a guy, he adapts to that dude. He fights Ryan Hall in the way you're supposed to fight Ryan Hall. You fight Josh Emmett in the way you're supposed to. He ended up having almost no damage after 5 rounds, almost no damage against arguably one of the heaviest handed guys in the division. And he did that by being very conscious of his defense, but also being light-footed. So he was always like jumping back and forth, moving in and moving out. And when Josh Emmett would land something solid, even in the body, out of desperation trying to get him somewhere, he was already going backwards. So the punch, even when it landed, and he got a few, again showing how durable he is, but he was already light-footed and just, okay, you punch me, I'm going that direction anyway. So yeah, thank for the boost. Push back, coming back in, and that's the... all the signs of a really exceptional fighter, which this guy is, and that's why I'm giving him the win. Those are the things that I see. The final bonus point thing is, no matter what happens in this fight, you will see Ilya Topuria as a champion yet again. He will be the champion of this division for a long time. You don't have a guy quite like him in the division. He's clearly the best one. And even though you can lose a fight, and he could well end up losing, I mean, it's within the spectrum of possibilities, he could end up losing, but you don't defeat Father Time. Max is not a kid anymore. He's not just the age, which of course always matters. It's the amount of miles that he has on him. By the time Max Holloway is 35 years old, it will be very difficult for him to defend against Ilya Topuria that will not even be 30 years old then. And 35-year-old is the age in which Volk lost. 35 is the age in which there's a clear decline in your ability to continue in this very unforgivable sport. All right, so you will see Ilya Topuria beat Max Holloway. Even if it doesn't happen this time, it will happen sometime. If it's not this fight, which I believe it is, Ilya Topuria will beat Max Holloway. You will see that happen. He will beat the guy, and a lot of Holloway fans will be very upset about it. And yeah, sure, it is the passing of the guard, whatever you want to call it, in the same way that Volkanovski, Max says, oh, but I'm not that old. Oh, but you're very close, dude. So if it's not now, it's going to be in a year or two, and you're not exactly someone very healthy in terms of the amount of damage you took. So keep that in mind too. That's just the way it is, guys. That's just the way I see it, and let's see. But this is a super exciting fight. Either way, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch, and I suggest you do so. See you later, guys. Take care.